Well, hello friends, I'm David Vos. I hope you're all having a great day. It's raining cats and dogs here in Texas, and I'm sure that's because of the tropical storm that hit down there in the Gulf. And so evidently for days and days now, we're going to have rain and some more rain. And I love it. I love the rain. It's beautiful. It's cooled everything down. It's lovely. Friends, again, I've just pushed this little red button that says record. I'm a little bit troubled today, friends. Still in good spirits, but a little troubled. Don't get me wrong, I have absolute faith that my Father in heaven has everything in control. But if you knew the story, you might wonder how I could believe that. I just know that. And I hope that by the end of this video, you'll know it too. And I know that most of you do. We believe that love is more powerful than evil. So I'm going on, I think, 3 or 4 months now that I have not had monetization on my videos. And that has led me to kind of have to downsize a lot of stuff, and I'm sitting here in Texas trying to figure out exactly what is going to be my next move, what is the plan. And to be honest with you, I haven't done a lot of videos. For about a month, they shut me down completely. I wasn't even able to upload. Since that time, I started back and I did a few videos, and I had to put a lot of videos on the other channel, and a lot of you not going over there to watch those videos, so it almost seems futile and it's a little discouraging. But I know I'll get through this, and I know that I need to continue with these videos, and I will do so. But as I go through my journey in life, it seems like every day something else pops up that just dumbfounds me. And some of this may have happened to you guys. I mean, I remember back when I was a child, and I think a lot of you probably, if you just really thought back to when you were a little child, and then all of a sudden everybody started saying, no, don't do that. No, you're not allowed to do that. No, we have to sit in a little chair and go to church. We didn't want to do that. We wanted to go outside and play. That was our natural instinct. We wanted to have fun and laugh. But no, Mom and Dad said you got to sit down and be serious. You got to read your books. You got to learn all this information. We said, well, I don't know why we need to learn this, Mom. This is not important. I'm never going to use this stuff. How, you know. No, it's so many light years to the stars, and we're sending people on rockets to the moon, we were told. And I remember thinking, what's the point? What are we going to do out there? Why are these people flying around? You know, it's kind of like saying, one of these days we're going to build a ship, and we're going to get in that ship, and we're going to sail across the ocean. But in preparation of that day, I want you kids to sit on the bank of the river and throw pebbles and tell me how many times you can bounce a stone across the water. Because you see, that's as far as we got. It's like throwing stones into the air, and they all fall back to the ground, and we say, well, we're preparing for one day when we're going to go out into that yonder space. Because we know that it's all darkness and black, and we know that it's so many million, zillion, trillion miles to that star. We know how big that star is, and we know the mass of that star. And I'm like, what? I remember thinking as a child in school, how in the world do these scientists know the mass of a star, let alone how many zillion, trillion, million, quadruple, trillion, billion, zillion miles it is? Now remember, these are the same people that knew for sure that the Grand Canyon was probably created by glaciers. And then somebody said, well, no, maybe it was the water for thousands of years came through there and washed it away. Some people say maybe it's a crack in the earth, you know, volcanic plates moving. Oh, man, they know for sure until they don't know anymore. And they also know how to tell how old that rock is, right? Just give me that rock. Oh, let me, stick it in this little machine. We invented this machine. And we'll scrape a little of that off, and we'll say, oh boy, carbon date that sucker. We know exactly that that's 4 billion years old. Really? Oh, not only that, but since that rock is 4 billion years old, we know that the dinosaur that's encased in there and petrified is exactly 1 million years old. Oh yeah, we know it's exactly 1,433,000 years old. And by the way, they found out later on that a lot of these dinosaurs were just animals that we've got today. Like a hairy elephant, we'll call that a mammoth. And, oh, look at this big tiger, but we found some big teeth laying next to it. We're going to say that this tiger, because it had a little peculiarity or difference in the ones we have today, that somehow or another that's not a tiger anymore, but that's a saber-toothed tiger. So that's a dinosaur. And we got all kinds of this stuff. And so we know that the geology, and we've got this all figured out. And we got it all figured out because we know that we evolved from this little pollywog, and then it went up onto the land, and we know exactly how it works. And Sigmund Freud had figured it all out. And the reason we're having all of these problems and wars and famines is because we've got some repressed sexual desire that, or something. He's pinpointed it, but we can't cure anybody. But later on, of course, we'll deny the whole thing and say it's a chemical imbalance and give you a pill. Of course, that pill will kill you, so be very careful. But we absolutely know how old the rocks are. And so, hey, if we know that, we probably also could tell you how old the rock is up there in the sky, so many light years away that you could never get there in 1,000 million lifetimes if you went at the speed of light, which is 186,000 miles per second. And don't tell us how we know that, because then we're going to say you're crazy and probably put you in a special class with people that have a cognitive disorder who don't want to listen and believe everything we say. See? So, we found some humans that we're certain look just like this drawing, right? They probably hunched over a little bit, and we're going to call them Neanderthal. We even found some bones that was the first link from the monkey to the human, and we called it Lucy, right? We put that hoax over on the world for a long time until we found out that we just took some monkey bones and stuck them together with some human bones. It was a total fraud, and we got away with it. We never apologized, and it's still in a lot of books on anthropology to this day, even though some smartass proved it was all a big hoax. Well, friends, there's a lot of hoaxes that's going on that they're not broadcasting all over NBC. I guarantee that. What if, now think about this, a lot of you out there don't believe that we went to the moon. And I don't blame you, because we didn't. And I heard somebody say, oh, but how could you keep something like that secret? Well, it's because it's classified, and you have to have clearance, classified clearance, to be in these particular positions. So nobody was there except for those who were in on it. Those people that are in NASA that pull off that kind of thing in Area 51 have high-up clearance, and they're taught to lie. See, they're in on it. They're the ones sitting around a big table with a cigar, laughing it up, going, ha ha, those people bought it. Oh my goodness, they bought the whole thing, hook, line, and sinker. Next time, let's tell them that we're going to Mars and we've got a Mars rover. Oh boy, this is going to be good. Oh man, give me some more of that marijuana. And you know what? We're going to make this illegal so that only we can do it. This is great. Hey, Mr. Einstein, Freud's brother, Sigmund Freud's brother. Hey, get on the chalkboard and come up with this formula, and we'll tell them that these little scribbles on the wall mean that we have so much authority and power over you, and we're so much smarter than you, that with these little scribbles on the chalkboard, we can invent a nuclear bomb. What is that? Oh, buddy, don't even ask us, because if we wanted to, we could blow your entire city up, and everything within 100 miles of this bomb would be completely gone, and you can't go back for 1,000 years because of the radiation levels. We have no idea what microwaves really do to us. We have no idea, because none of us can actually know for certain that they even have a bomb that could do the things that they say. You know, they certainly could come up with megaton dynamite bombs that would make a big mushroom cloud. It wouldn't have to be radioactive. We don't even know that the stuff that they're telling us is true. If it is true that it's all radioactive and that it could destroy the earth up to 1,000 years, then why in the world are we allowing them to build all these nuclear power plants across the world? We've got to be out of our minds, out of our freaking gourds. Are they trying to murder us all? Well, maybe they are. But I doubt that, friends. I really doubt that the people who run the entire world want to have some kind of a weapon that wouldn't just kill us, but kill them as well. So I doubt that that's really true. Nevertheless, you've got to believe them because they're God. You see, Mr. Kim Jong-un, he's over there and he's got his finger on a button. And if he touches that button, him or Putin or anybody like that, if they touch that button, we're all going to be toast. So you better give us some money. This is blackmail, friends. Either you do what we say and give us your money. We've been spending $1 trillion a year for I don't know how many years on our military because it's a big, bad boogeyman. And the only despots and enemies that we've managed to find in the last 100 years has been some guy named Saddam Hussein. And it turns out they were lying about that too. He didn't have any weapons of mass destruction, and I don't think Gaddafi did either. But we sure did murder him real easy, and I didn't hear anybody complaining. Wow. And who in their right mind invented zillion? What's that for? We got a ruler that's 12 inches, where we measure how far it is from one end of the house to the other, or we measure how long a log is, or a river. Maybe we measure how high it is to the top of the mountain. Maybe we'd want to know how far it is from one city to the other. But why in the world would we spend all of our life? We have an entire science based on how far is it to that little white speck in the sky. And how far is it from that little white speck to the other little white speck. And how are we going to get there? First of all, who told you there's a there? We are basing our entire lives on, you've heard the expression, you build your house upon sand. So you're going to build a house and you go and you get solid rocks. You get a solid foundation. You do not build your house on sand, because if you do, it'll fall down. And you don't build your house on a cliff that when the rains come and everything gets soggy, and you can see the cliff has before crumbled. It's slowly busting off, and falling down, and the rocks are rolling down to the bottom. And it rains for weeks. We have a rainy season, and the whole cliff goes down, and then your house is down at the bottom. All of us know how ridiculous and unwise and really, literally stupid that would be. And yet people continue to do so. Well, all right, so let's say that you're going to build a house. You know that you have to have solid ground. You've heard that. So let's say that somebody told you that if you mixed a certain kind of soil with water and added some lime, you could make a solid brick and you could use that for your house. Well, you'd have to try it first and see if it worked. All right, you can do that. We've tried it. It works. We've seen it with our own eyes. It's called cement. Now let's say somebody comes along and they say, we've got a new idea. Here's what you do. All you got to do is pick leaves off the trees, grind them up, soak them in hot salt water, lay them all over the ground, and by morning the entire ground is going to be cement, and then you can build your house. Well, you say, I don't know, maybe it'll work because we tried that other thing and it worked. So, process of elimination, stands to reason. This guy is telling us it's going to work. He's never tried it. He's never done it. But we're going to go ahead and try it. We're going to build our house. And so you build your house and everything looks good. It's going up pretty good. And then you get to the top, you build the roof and you start putting your furniture in and things get heavier and heavier and all of a sudden the whole thing comes falling down. Now you find out that it doesn't work. You wouldn't build your house on something that you don't know for sure is going to be solid. So the reason I'm saying this is because if you think about it, our entire world, everything we know, everything we believe, everything is based on a few things that we don't know if it's true. Now let's stop and think about the things that everything we believe is based on. One, we're basing most of what we believe on a book. And you can go to chapter and verse, and if it says it in there, then we believe it. And we're basing a lot more on that book than you think. You say, well, I'm not a Christian, Dave, so I don't base anything on that book. Okay, what are you, atheist? Okay. Well, do you believe in the system of law, of government? Do you think that prisons are a good thing, that school is a good thing to teach your children? Everything that we're doing, the school system, universities, your jobs, everything that, the governmental structure, the lawyers, everything is based on the Bible. The law came from the ancient court. The court was around the temple, and the priests wore the black robes, and to this day we go to a court in front of a man with a black robe, and he hands down his decision and judges us based on the law which was given to us by a man named Moses. And we feel confident that it's just common sense that we should be judged upon these laws. You got marriage laws, you've got equity laws, you've got the law of commerce, which is based on that ancient law of Moses that says I can buy and sell things, you're my slave. And everything that we do today, you've got a magistrate court in every country of the world. Russia's got magistrate courts, China's got magistrate courts, Australia, Canada, everywhere in the world's got a magistrate court. The magistrate court is a system of control based on a court or a temple or a law who is officiating for Her Majesty. And yet we believe somehow that we're all free. You women, you go and you put a white veil on and you don't even know what you're doing. You put a ring on your hand, which means that you're a slave, and you make a vow and you say, I promise to obey, which means you're his slave. It's been altered a little bit in modern times, and now the men pretend to do this as well. But you women, you have a veil, and he opens the veil and seals this arrangement. And you seal the arrangement with an I do. You do what? You will obey? You sign a contract that you will become a slave, and you put your little ring upon your finger that represents your slavery. They used to purchase the women. This is all based on law. We're still doing all of this, as if this is all just hunky-dory wonderful. Government itself. Have you ever wondered why you need government? For one thing, even if you did have rules and you had some kind of society, why would it be? Why would you think that all of these rules that you're under would only benefit the elite who's pocketing all the money, and you are a poor peasant who gets nothing? Why do you think that's fair? There's a whole lot more of us peasants than there are very high aristocrats and oligarchs and kings and queens and the elite running around, great big financiers and bankers and candlestick makers. There's a whole lot more of us little plebes and a bunch more of us peasants running around here. Why in the world have we never gotten it through our head that we could uprise? That we could just say no. You don't even have to uprise. Just say no. The uprising's always been put upon us by the elite who decide that we're going to go to war, and we just march to war. Why? Oh, because we're patriots. What does that mean? We believe in ourselves? We love ourselves? No. We go out and kill ourselves because they tell us to do it. What kind of insanity is this? Did this not come from the book? Did this not come from the sandy soil that we're building our house upon? Hatred, lies, and contradictions. This is what we base our entire system on. I often talk about this in many of my videos. You go into a city and you're driving down the highway and you look at this big city and you say, wow, look at that. Look at all these big buildings. Stop for a moment. Wake up. Take a look at those buildings. Who built them? You don't know, do you? You pass by every day and you say, well, those big buildings, there's 10, 12, 15 stories. You know, go to a bigger city, there's 50 to 100-story buildings, and you're like, oh, this is just a city. This is what we do. Commerce. This must be somebody selling his wares, right? No, they don't. They are not selling their wares. Look at the name on the top of that building, right down in the middle of the city. Right down in the middle of the city. It's Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Citibank, MetLife, Progressive Insurance. Those are the largest buildings in every town. Think about it. There's hundreds and hundreds of towns across America. And the same thing's going on in China, Russia, Brazil, Canada. Every one of these huge cities have all these huge, huge buildings. The wealth that they have is tremendous. How much does it cost to build one of those buildings? What do we need that building for? All of our money evidently is going into their pockets because we haven't got a building half that size. And then you look over on the other side of town and you notice that there's another big building and a bunch of complexes and stuff, and it's almost as big as downtown. And that is the hospital. The hospital. There may be several of them even. You know, and dentist offices and all these, you know, all these clinics and stuff like this. It's huge. There's another industry. And it's all based upon lies. And you're all filing down there, right, to go in and get your vaccine. And you never would believe me if I told you. And if you want to believe me, I just posted a link on my Facebook where a PhD scientist, doctor, who was a scientist who did studies for the government and researched all of this until finally she realized that the government was themselves causing all of these diseases like leukemia and HIV and all of these diseases like cancer was all being given to us in the vaccines and various things that the government was doing with pharmaceutical drugs. These things were killing us. That it was a big hoax. They took the woman, they put handcuffs on her, they took her to a jail without a trial. They demanded that she recant. She would not recant. So they stuck her in jail for a while. And finally they let her out, stripped her of her PhD. They stripped her of her authority to practice medicine or to work ever again as a scientist for anyone. And she's completely broke. Our entire system is based upon sandy soil, and our house is coming down. And all the while, you all have your blinders on, and you don't care, and you're going to go down with the house. You've got to get out of this house. Then you've got another section of this town. This is a really big building. It looks like a cathedral. Some of it looks a little bit like Greek, architecture. Like the Capitol. Right? Every state's got this huge capital. Not to mention Washington, D.C., but every state's got these huge capitals in their major city, usually in the center of their state. And if you've ever been to Texas, and it's this way in every state, but if you've ever been to Texas, they got some pretty wild courthouses. Yeah, these are capitol buildings just for a county. My goodness, we've got a county. I mean, there's like hundreds of counties in Texas, and some of these counties don't have more than a few thousand people. And this little town just not far from me, a very small town that's got about 2,000 people, they've got a courthouse that looks like Washington, D.C. And so this is kind of the way it is. All these big architectural style buildings that are being, this is law. This is the system or the judicial system that we're all bound under. So now we've got banks that take most of the city. We've got hospitals. The pharmaceutical companies own the media. They own our government. They're making trillions of dollars. Oh, that's why they came up with that word zillion. Because they knew they were going to have $1 zillion someday, and they got it. And so they need a huge building so high it reaches to the stars to hold all of their wealth and their gold. And then the Capitol building, it's really big, but down under the Capitol building is a dungeon. It's called a prison. And they've got millions of us down there because we don't want to cooperate. Because they can make money off of your soul. And you don't wake up and you don't say anything? Oh, some of you are out protesting. Guess what? You're protesting what they want you to protest. Stupidity. You're protesting that a woman has the right to kill her baby. You're basically out picketing and rioting, demanding that we open up the borders to all these terrorists all around the world so they can come here, vote in our elections, to get more welfare and goodies that we, the taxpayer, have to pay. We're tapped out. We've got no more money. We've been building China for 70, 80, 100 years, and now China is as big as we are, and we still are expected to pay for everything that they're doing in Europe. And we're over here doing our darndest to try and be good. You know, we sit in our little pew at church, and we put our hand on our heart, and we pledge allegiance to our country. I believe in following our Constitution. I do not, however, believe in pledging our allegiance to the crooks, the criminals, the lawyers, the bankers, and the sorcerers that are running our health system. I do not believe in that. Open your eyes, my friends. We have built our house upon sand, and it's crumbling at the foundations, and it's falling down, and you better wake up and get out of the house, get out of the building. It's on fire. Get out. We've got to wake up. It's time that we finally realize we, the people, were given a document so that we could be free. And immediately they came in and put their little magistrate courts in all over the place and put on their little black robes, the robes of state and privilege and religiosity. The clerics came in and put us in the dungeons. And they put all the minorities in the cities, in the inner cities, and put them on drugs and made a killing off of that. Well, now they've got us all on these drugs, even in the suburbs. And some of these suburbs you go down through and you see these people are living in slums as well. See, their intent was to use us, to pit us together until they could destroy us all. So they had to really brainwash us to the point where we didn't know what was going on. But friends, it goes so much deeper than that. Our entire system, not just the physical structure of our cities and our courts and our churches, but all of the knowledge of our existence, of who you are as a person. They've drilled into your soul that you're an evil person, that there's evil in the world. And people got to be stopped because they're bad. And you've got to have police on the street. Because we're taught from the time we're little that we're born sinners. And we don't even deserve to live. And so we walk around very sad. And we feel very hateful towards everyone. Because they told us that those darn, Orientals are bad. We got to go to war and fight the Koreans. Those darn Vietnamese are going to hurt us. We got to go over there and kill them all. Those Iraqis, man, they're bad hombres. Well, guess what? It wasn't the Iraqis that did anything to us. And it wasn't the Afghanistans that pulled us off. It was the CIA that went in there and recruited those people. And they're doing that to us here now. They're trying to get us all riled up. And they're creating Black Lives Matter and Ku Klux Klan and this organization and this church. And they're saying, oh, here's a little group. We're going to brainwash everybody to be Jehovah's Witnesses. And they're going to hate everybody and disfellowship and excommunicate their children and go around telling everybody they're guilty. And then we're going to make a little group over here, we'll call it Mormons. And we're going to make another little group over here that says, oh, we believe in the law, and if you don't keep the law, you're bad. And then we got another group over here that says, no, we don't believe in the law, but you got to go to church and you got to get baptized a certain way and take a wafer and do this, or you're bad. And then we got a group over here that says, oh, you are all bad. You don't know what you're talking about. Because we don't wear those black robes. We got little white robes with spots, right? And we wear our hair like this, and we wear beards, and we're out in the country and, in the agriculture. We're called Mennonites, and we don't have radios or white walls on our tires. See, we don't play with those wicked cards or dancing or anything like that. We don't let our children watch TV. Well, they probably got something there. But it's all propaganda and brainwashing, and you just march down there every week and just get your fill of this crap. And you wonder why you believe in the government? Because the churches are backing the government. The Catholic Church made a pact with the Nazis. Yes, they did, friends. And they've made a pact with the corporation called the United States of America of Washington, D.C. The District of Columbia, friends. And you're their slave. And unless you decide today that you're not going to be a slave anymore, and I don't mean just one or two of you, all of us, we've got to stand down right now. Because I've looked around, and I don't see much hope for us. We're rooting for our president, because he's going to drain the swamp. The problem is, friends, all he's going to do, if he does anything, and I hope he does, and I'm behind him, put these guys in jail, all right? They deserve it. Let's clean this up. The problem is, after he's done, we're going to just keep on going, building our military. And now he's got another program where he's going to go to the stars, the Space Force or something, right? So we can spend trillions more dollars on this. Friends, when's it going to end? We've got to stop it now. We don't need this garbage. We need to be free. We want to live our lives. We want to go outside and frolic in the sun and have relationships with the other sex. Maybe we could have a girlfriend, right? Oh no, you got to go online and sign up on a little site, right? And meet somebody you've never seen before or heard of before. And of course it's not going to work. So you're going to spend your life so frustrated that you're just going to stay home and be an old maid. Right? Unless you want to go to church and do everything that church says, and then maybe they'll let you join and they can give you a husband. But then, of course, you're going to be stuck in a relationship where you're not in love. He's going to be telling you what to do, what to wear, right? You're going to be stuck raising his children like it's some sort of a, military school. There's no fun in this. There's no life. You don't have a man who actually loves you, and men, you don't have a woman that actually loves you. And get together and plan your life and go swimming and raise children, watch them smile and laugh, and be healthy and not have any fear that somehow there's like little microbes that's going to get into them somehow and they're going to get leukemia and die. And, right, you spend your wealth and everything you've ever done working night and day, giving it to the doctors. They're going to cure this thing and it never gets cured. And a big depression because, it's a tragic thing. Aunt Sue's dying, cancer, and Uncle Bob's in prison, and Uncle Joe's on drugs, and he's always coming over to the house, and you got to run him off because he's always begging for money, and he's yelling and screaming and acting out, and the whole family's disgusted. Nobody talks to each other. We're done, friends, because we built our house on sand, and we've allowed Satan to rule over us. We don't have to. All we got to do is say, "Get thee behind me. I'm not listening to you anymore." Now, I've got a couple of questions for you. Just a couple of thoughts. Have you ever wondered, and I'm not going to give you the answers to any of these questions, but I just want to give you these questions because maybe the only thing we've got is the question. We might not have any of the answers, but we got to at least know the question. Right? If you don't even know the question, you're never going to come up with the answer. But I got a question for you. Why is it that all of this new information that we're getting is from a few people, all of them from the exact same family? Have you ever wondered that? Did you ever wonder why Stitchin, a member of this particular family we're talking about, you ever wonder how he got so popular? Velenkowski. Have you ever read his books? He started this whole thing. There was this asteroid that maybe hit the Earth millions and billions of years ago, and all these amazing weird theories. Carl Jung, Sigmund Freud, Einstein, Marx, Nietzsche. Have you ever asked yourself the question, why just before the World Trade Center went down, it was purchased by a man named Silverstein and another man named Goldberg? Have you ever asked yourself the question of what were they doing? Because it was the very floor where that plane hit that supposedly brought these buildings down. Just 2 months after they got insurance on this building for $4.5 billion. But it was on that particular level that they had all of these computers set up. And they were doing these transactions, these big billion-dollar transactions. And when that plane hit, it wiped out all traces of what they were doing. And we'll never know. Have you ever wondered why the man running the FBI right now, not elected, but he's basically, for all practical purposes, running our FBI and leading a coup against our president? Have you ever wondered why his name is Rosenstein? Have you ever wondered why the lawyer that brought all of these charges against Bill Cosby and the president and all these other people with all these rumors and charges that were never proved was a woman named Gloria Allred, another member of this particular family? It seems like there was this systematic control and mind manipulation and propaganda. The same people that bought out CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, every station, all the newspapers, the New York Times, everything. The lawyers that are helping Trump, the lawyers that are against Trump, all the big lawyers are either Italians who work in the mafia under this other family that is above them. That Hillary Clinton, her father, was the head of the mafia in Chicago, where Obama trained, financed by George Soros, another one of the members of this family, where Rahm Emanuel is now mayor, where he insists on doing nothing but funnel drugs into the city and let the minority shoot themselves and die in the streets. He's selling them drugs, he's making millions of dollars, and you don't do a darn thing about it, but you minorities, you just keep voting these people in. You just keep hugging them and kissing them and telling the world that this is your party. Well, you're all a bunch of Uncle Toms. And actually, I don't blame you, because you white people are doing the same thing. You idiots. You just keep voting these freaking idiots in. You didn't know, you couldn't get on the computer and look it up and find out that Bill Clinton was running a cocaine industry in cahoots with John Gotti, another member of the big mafia family, an operation underneath the clandestine family that rules the world. Their modus operandi is to keep you as a slave, to make you stupid, to put you on drugs, to kill you in any way and shape, form that they can. And we just keep letting it happen. Karl Marx started socialism and communism. Stalin and Gorbachev and all of these people, when are we going to wake up and stop voting, protest and say, it's enough? We do not wish that you take from among our midst our children and take them over to foreign countries and let them die in some war that we don't give a flying leap about. And then build up an army on our soil and run around in the streets telling us we can't partake of herbs or do anything that's against your rules, or not have this little, rope around our waist when we're driving, or else we go to jail. We've got to get a permit for this and a driver's license and a certificate for that. We've got to get a license. See, only those who are licensed can do anything. We're not allowed to own land. You're not allowed to own land. Oh, you can own land, Dave. As long as you have a little token, you've got to get your recompense from the court. Pay your debt. What if you can't pay your debt? You're poor. Then you don't deserve land? You don't deserve food? Oh, well, the state will give you some crumbs. We're going to fight for our crumbs. And if we get our crumbs, we're going to be fine. Well, how about we get our equal rights under the Constitution of the United States of America? Well, how about we get a little portion of the land of this world where we can grow our crops without a license? How about we get a little portion of the land that is in this world that belongs to our Father in heaven, was given to us by divine right, because we have inalienable rights? And you shall not make a law abridging my freedom or my religious liberty or my pursuit of happiness. But you see, we don't have the balls to stand up. And if one of us gets the balls, they just put us in jail. And we say, oh, there goes another crazy wacko. See, he went down there and he did something about it, but he was crazy. Oh, I'm not going to be crazy. I'm going to do what I'm told. And not only am I going to do what I'm told, when a microphone comes near me, I'm going to say I like doing it. And when I go to work as a slave and punch that time clock, I'm going to say, oh, I'm having a wonderful day. Oh, I love my job. Oh, I love helping people. Here, take your vaccine. You've got to get your leukemia or your cancer today. Oh, don't protest. I think thee protest too much. You better just go back and be a little slave and get into that house that's fallen down because there is no foundation. Oh, my friends, when are we going to wake up? Guess what? Never. You know why? Because unless you hear this, what I'm about to say, what I am saying to you right now, unless you hear the Paul Revere's, you're not going to do anything. But who's going to go to battle without the battle call? The Bible says, who's going to hear if they're not told? You've got to go out and preach the good news. We need more preachers, but not those kind of preachers. We need the preachers that Jesus talked about, the preachers of our salvation. The ones who said, we don't have to do what these religious leaders say, you hypocrites. Get out of our lives. I'm free. I have no condemnation. I don't need your stinking government. Thank you very much. I have boldness to his throne. I don't need to come and bow down before your majesty. I have boldness to his throne. I have freedom. I have grace. I don't have to get a token. I don't need a license. And I don't need a lawyer because I have a representative. It's Christ in me. See, I can go unto the Father because he loves me. And whatever I ask, I shall receive. But unless you believe it, why do you got to believe it, Dave? Because if you don't believe it, you won't do it. And ain't none of you doing it. Ain't none of you believing that you're free. I don't see any of you out there enjoying the land like the ancient ones did. All I see is all of you people down there in the citadel, going up to the court around the temple, and all the black robes coming out, filing in a row, and you're bowing down to them and saying, Your Honor, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. Oh, what more can I do for you today? Oh, naked emperor, your clothes are so beautiful. Beat me some more, oh, master. Yes, master. Oh, this is what we're doing, and we don't even care. We don't even care, friends. And this is the problem. I'm telling you, but this video might just be taken down or certainly demonetized because they don't like it. They don't want you to know the truth. So I suggest that you take videos like this and you get them out there so that they can't take it down. Put them on everybody's channel. I give you the right. Go ahead. You can have this video. Put it on anybody's channel you want. Make a video of your own. But preach the good news that you're free. And it's not just some words. No, someday I'll fly away, oh, I'll fly away. But not right now. I love the government, so I'm gonna stay right here. I'd rather spend my time going to the school and making sure my children are learning all their propaganda correctly, like a good citizen, right? We gotta be all worried about this guy. He's got his knee bent, and he doesn't want to salute the flag, so he's a bad guy. Oh boy, let's spend all of our time, pointing out all these bad, evil people. Okay, I don't know that I would approach it that way, but why are we so worried about this one man who doesn't want to bow his knee to any other God but the one that is in him, Christ? Right? Maybe he doesn't understand the things the way you do, but maybe you don't know what he's been through. Maybe you don't know what he's been through, but you know what? It doesn't even matter. The point is, why aren't you out there getting up off of your knees? Because all you do is bow to your master. Why not just for once in your life, why don't we just make a day where everybody in this country decides that, you know what, we're not going to do this anymore. We're going to take the whole day. Come on, just take one day of work off. They can't arrest us all. Let's just all get together just one day and go out in the streets and say no more. We don't want any more courts. We rescind all the laws. We don't want the Bank of America. We don't want any money. We're just all going to go to work for free. And at the end of the day, we're all going to divide up what we got and build a world on love. Oh, Dave, if we started doing things for ourselves and thinking for ourselves, why, we wouldn't know what to do. Oh, man, I can think of a lot of things to do, friends. Oh, buddy, we can go outside and play in the grass and talk to each other and love each other, right? And be friends and have fun. We don't need to go to work. We don't no stinking work, right? What are we building? A big ship so we can go to Mars? What are we going to do on Mars? I don't even think they're in Mars. I got another question for you. Why is the moon and the sun exactly the same size? Okay, I don't know. Why are we assuming that all of our science that they've been telling us is correct? Why is it they can't produce one picture of the Earth from up in the sky? The whole Earth. They can't. Why is it that if they fake the entire moon landing, we believe that anything else that they do is somehow going to be true, right? But you all believe everything. Oh, look at the space shuttle. Oh, isn't that beautiful? No, it's just a big fraud. It's just a big fraud. And it's being perpetrated on you. No, nigh upon your little children. And if you love your children, do something. Do something. Well, what do you mean, Dave, that the sun and the moon are the same size? I don't know. It seems pretty coincidental. It seems pretty coincidental that anywhere on this planet, wherever you live, I don't care if you're in China, Russia, Australia, Canada, or, Alaska, you'll see a moon waxing and waning, right? Now, if that moon was anywhere else, instead of right where it's at, wobbling behind the Earth, with the Earth spinning exactly the way it does on the exact same angle that it spins on its axis, according to them, it would not have the waning and the waxing that it does all around the world. And why is it the moon never shows us the other side? We always got to look at the face of the moon, that one face. Isn't it odd that we're spinning through space at trillions of gazillions of miles an hour, supposedly? And this thing's flying around us, right, going around and around and around, and we're going around the sun. And yet that thing always stays right in the exact same place. And we never see the backside of the moon. Just a little peculiarity. A little oddity. Isn't it also interesting that Nibiru, that this member of the family says was a planet that's about to hit us? And Velinkowski chipped in and said, yay, I agree too. And so did Von Daniken, right? Everybody from this one family says, oh boy, right? These aliens that originally put us here, they're the gods. And they're gods because they are scientifically superior. So therefore, we're gods, right? Because we can go to the moon now. But why is it that all of these individuals, every one of them, say that Nibiru is some kind of planet that's going to hit us? But isn't it also interesting that Nibiru is a city right next to Ur of the Chaldeans, where they found the Sumerian tablets themselves? We call it Nippur. That's Nibiru. Well, isn't it also interesting that they linked that city up with Jupiter? Well, it's also interesting that one of the cities is linked up with the sun. That's the Ur, the city of Ur. One of the cities down there is linked up with Jupiter, Nippur. And all of the cities, there's 7 cities, right? From the sun all the way down to the last planet, which is Saturn. And isn't it interesting that wherever you go, these individuals would come onto the earth and create a civilization. They'd have a large river, and they'd plant these cities in such a way, and each of the cities would represent some of the stars. And you look up in the sky and you see the Eridanus, right? And then you look down here on the earth and you've got the Eridanus River, or the Jordanus, or the Jordan. And so you see that they've named all of the cities on earth after the stars. And it's telling us our history, but no, we're not allowed to actually read that stuff and find out what it really means. But instead, we get a guy named Stitchin or Velinkowski tell us what we're supposed to believe about it in the book. And of course, what does he say? Does he say anything about the fact that we are children of the living God, that we are free? Well, of course he wouldn't do that, because, he's a member of the family that's trying to keep us enslaved, and so he's just trying to keep us down. He's trying to keep us ignorant. They had to co-opt the whole thing before it got out to the people, and they figured out the real truth. So they started subterfuge and telling you lies. I'm telling you that it's not a coincidence that the same people, the same family that owns it all, they own eBay, they own Google, they own Yahoo, they own Amazon, they own Microsoft, they own the oil companies, Shell, ExxonMobil, electric companies, GE, everything, the banks, the insurance companies, all of it. They own it all. And we're enslaved. And now they're the government, and they're censoring us, and they're watching us, and they're collecting all of our information. And we're going down the drain, and you don't want to do anything about it. You don't want to stand up. You say, well, we're just hoping our president does it for us. Well, buddy, if you are hoping that Donald Trump does this for you, you better get out and vote for him. I guarantee that. And after you vote for him, we better make sure that he knows that we don't want him to just stop here, but we want him to put every one of them in jail, and we want our banks to be put back into the hands of the people. If we can't do that, and our science, we've got to start figuring out the true science and not just believing everything lock, stock, and barrel that they've been telling us. All these lies for all these centuries. And guess what? We're not going to wear the suit and the tie, which is the black coat, and the white shirt, which is the modern version of the robe when we go to church and to our little position as a deacon. And we're not going to perform in an official capacity for Her Majesty or for the so-called Father or Vicar of Christ, the Pope, because we do not accept his authority. So anyway, friends, I don't know. This is some of the things that I'm thinking about right now, and I've got a whole bunch of ideas and new thoughts that I want to eventually get into a video, various videos that I want to share with you. Some very important information that just blows the lid off of the science that we've been taught, off of the religions that we've been taught, off of the court system that we've been taught, off of all of it. I want to completely blow the lid off of it. So please, friends, get everyone you know to start watching these videos and help me out by, for right now, to going over and subscribing to Autumn Boast's channel, because that's the only place I get any monetization right now, and I'm only going to have that temporarily. I'm hoping that my president, Donald Trump, will do something about this censorship and get me back on with my monetization as soon as possible. In the meantime, I'm going to continue to broadcast this information the best I can. If I've got to go out and live in my truck to do so. But friends, we got to all do this together. I'm David Boast. I hope you guys have a great day. We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a good one.